Am I blocking the camera?
No, sir. Don't forget to hit that share button.
Present. Chairman Halliburton, if I may interject, why are we planning on borrowing any money? The reason why we so concerned about our bond and the S&P and debt ratio?
It's not just about trying to borrow money. There are conditions, there are things they can do with our money we got. And we don't follow all
Now they speaking low.
things we agree to. Now, I don't have any problem with giving our individuals a raise. We'll be violating our covenants with our bond rating people. They call us all the time.
Okay, I got a, that's not what I thought we was back out there for, but since you open that door, I'm gonna walk through it. I can't understand why, no.
We came back out to talk about
You open that door, that's not what we supposed to come down here and speak it up. When we left them back there, we knew what we were supposed to come down and speak it up. You gonna open up a door now, you don't want me to walk through it, I'm coming through it. Whether you want me to come through it now, I come through it later, but I am coming through it. Because the simple fact is, that's not, attorney, what we supposed to be coming down here discussing. No debt to ratio and bonds and all that. Because the simple fact, we have not stopped seeing anybody come through that door and pay their water bill. This is the second time you done made a statement. You made that statement last month and you came back this month and made that statement. For as I know, people was paying what they supposed to be paying, what they would sit out for their water bill until two people sit on this board, God bless one soul, decide to make a decision without the board. So that's why we are in such a mess now. So, do you want to discuss what we're supposed to be discussing? Or I can go a little bit further because what you are saying is untrue. And I'm not going to sit right here and let you feed this to the citizen because it's not true. Because see, you decide, as your statement you made last month, they paying the right amount now. But you just sit here and said 3 years they ain't been paying because the meters ain't been raised.
That's not true.
And what I just said. You said 3 years or more, the meters have not been raised. That was your word. Did you see that one being read? Because I'm gonna put it to you like this. Mine was. And mine's what? Still being read. We have hired real meters. Mr. Haven't they been going out reading meters?
Yes.
Okay, so you sit up here trying to make like the money problem is because the meter was not being read. That's not so. It's not true. Now, my current is mismanagement is our problem. We got people sitting in places that's mismanaging the funds that's coming through that door. Every month, we got somebody on the agenda, water bill is sky high. But bills ain't being raised. That's not the truth. Somebody meters being read for somebody be getting $2,000 or $3,000 water bill. Something ain't right.
No.
And you're not gonna feed the citizen and listen on this news that the property of their meters has not been read. Mr. Chairperson, that's not the truth. You giving false information. And I don't know what I'm like my director, my right next to me, Johnson, because I'm confused. Because see, you say one thing, and it's not the truth. And when we just jump out of back in the executive session, it was one thing we want to come out here and discuss, but you want to make a statement. So I'm gonna make mine. No, are you? Because see, a lie ain't nothing for a person to tell. The same thing came out your mouth should have been the truth. We have hired meter readers. I'm Richard Anderson, the meters are being read. But you want to say they have not been read. Well, they're not being read. Where did these $2,000 and $3,000 water bills coming back from? Where are they? You go in there or you reading folks' meters and trying to make them go back and pay what you thought they should be paying? Is that what it is? Oh, okay. All right, what?
Let's move on.
Okay, I thought we'll move on.
To B.
5B.
Yes, I'm sorry, 5B.
I was just trying to
Welcome to
get us
Prichard
back on
Ward,
track with
everybody.
the agenda, what we're supposed
I don't
to
know.
do. I mean,
What we
Y'all
supposed
take
to be
45
coming out here
morning show.
discussing is that we want to make a motion that we start having meetings every 2 weeks. One on being a finance meeting where the finance person can tell us how much money that's been coming through the door where it can go in a minute instead of constantly receiving it on the phone. So we have a 2-week meeting instead of once a month meeting. That's what we're supposed to be coming back out here to discuss. Am I right, attorney?
we did adjourn to discuss the general reputation, character, and professional competence of an individual, and that was what you all
Okay.
came out.
So that's what we were making a motion. I make a motion that we have a water and sewage, Prichard Water Work and Sewage Board meeting every 2 weeks by one on being a finance meeting where our finance person can come let us know what came through the door, but it can be recorded and not just received by our phones or computer. So it'll be recorded. So that way, it won't be a weekend one minute because as our finance person said earlier, we can't afford $250. But that's what he had asked for. How can you give somebody $250 when by the time they go in the grocery store, they buy eggs and bread and milk and God knows 2 pieces of meat, that's $250. I'm losing all $250 a month in gas. So that's not giving them something they need to show. They need something that's going to help them. So this is what we were saying. We want, instead of once a month, we start meeting every 2 weeks. And one of the 2 weeks will be a finance of India.
Thank you, Director Dolan. So, Mr. Nate, get
to have a board meeting every 2 weeks with one meeting at 5:00.
Not a board meeting.
Financial.
Let me see how I can put this, to see, if I talk low, our lady can't hear. So, what I'm asking, it's gonna be a finance meeting and a board meeting, which every meeting, which y'all chairperson should know this, since he been on, what, 17, 20 years? Every meeting that this board have is an open meeting. We don't have, if we here, customers can walk through that door and listen at our meetings. We don't have private meetings unless we go in a, it's a rep. So that's another no-no you sit up there tell. Every one of our meetings are open meetings. We don't supposed to hide nothing from the customer, because why? They don't want to pay your salary, my salary, as they come through that front door and pay their water bill. But if our chairperson would sit back and quit taking over everything and manage the money that's coming through that door, we won't be in this problem. Long as you sit here and you tell the truth, I will. But if you're not gonna sit here and tell the customers and the citizens of the city of Prichard the truth, I won't. You understand? Did you understand that? Are you finished telling him? And anyone?
Motion to have a board every 2 weeks.
And one of them being a finance meeting where Miss Teresa, whoever her department, wants to come in and tell us what was coming in and what was spent out.
So we just need a second.
Second.
Okay, so that's been moved and properly second. We have a
Right.
board meeting every other week. And, are there any questions?
Attorney, can you, get the understanding from him, because, he just like,
Board meeting with a financial update every 2 weeks.
there you go.
So one will be purely financial. That looks like that.
Yes.
Are we still gonna have our regular board meeting on the second Monday?
Yes, ma'am. Instead of meeting once a month, we're gonna meet twice a
See,
month.
see,
Every
right
other
now,
week.
let me explain to you this more. Right now, we have everything in one meeting. We're gonna set aside one of those board meetings to introduce the finance in the meeting. That way, you won't be looking, well, I feel like this, that way, I won't be looking at what comes to my phone and say, okay, that's it. It needs to be recorded. What's coming to us, because it's public record.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Instead of right now, we got 12 things on here. Some of this could be done in that second meeting along with the finance.
Yes.
Okay, any other questions? I have a question. Changing the meeting, adding a meeting, subtracting a meeting, that's a bylaw issue. And we are not in here. Like to change the bylaw, in the bylaw, in case,
Excuse me, Chairman.
Let me get this from you.
Bylaws are made to be changed and amended, just like they were changed and amended back on April 12th of 1993, June the 14th, 1993, October 20th, 2014, November the 10th, 2014, November 9th, 2015, and October 23rd, 2015. Today, June 13th, 2022, the amendments, we're about to vote to amend and change the amendments that we meet twice a month, one meeting being set aside specifically for our physical service manager and whomever in her department will come in, provide documentation, original documentation to the 5-member board so that we will be aware and brought up to date on a consistent basis of the finances of Prichard Waterworks and Sewer Board.
Is there any other questions? Mr. Day,
You got something
roll
to say?
call, please.
Attorney, you have something to say?
I was just going to say, if we want to look at the amendments portion of the bylaws on page 5, where it talks about we can amend bylaws at a regular meeting, provide notice of that proposed amendment, as long as that is given in the notice of such regular or special meeting.
Okay, so
This is
it's
a regular
given,
meeting.
regular meeting.
Well, in the
Customers
notice,
will know.
in the notice that the meeting is being held.
All they have to do is post it on the doors,
Mhm.
Yes, ma'am.
just like they post these
Change.
on the door, the
Yes,
regular
ma'am.
meeting, they post it on the door, they
Yes.
can post this on the door. I don't know why our chairperson don't want the finance rid of it, we did the way it needs to be did. Because we do not hide it, I do not hide anything. From nobody. And I think, City Hall has a finance meeting. Prichard Housing Authority has a finance meeting. A lot of these, utility companies have strictly a day they do finance meeting. Why we can't have the same? That way, from one month to the other month, we would know that we had a finance meeting where our funds been spent on. So that can be done.
Is there any other questions? Roll call, please.
Director Johnson?
Yes.
Director Dole?
Yes.
Director Heidelberg?
No?
Director Moore? Yes.
Motion passed.
Got it again. Ooh, they got it
We
then.
should just make sure we are following the bylaws and make sure, I know that you all have all voted yes, but I do want to make sure that this should be posted at the next public notice or the regular meeting, or unless you have a special board meeting. But in order, we just want to make sure that we are following the bylaws with this amendment.
Yes.
So,
Those can be posted.
The proposal.
So with Janae and whoever put them on the door, after this meeting, we need to put it on the door.
Yes, ma'am.
Or letting the customer know that we are now having finance meetings.
No, your proposed amendment.
Heidelberg
needs to
look like
be
he
written
blown
out
they
in
passed
the
that.
notice.
Okay.
You pissed, look at his face.
Can you tell Miss, Janae how it's supposed to be? Yep.
Ma'am,
Could you, direct Miss Janae?
Mr. Name, the board is asking at the next, when you do put out the notice for the next meeting, we can include her proposed amendment, so that can be noticed as well. And then they can come and go.
He ain't like shit. God damn it. I wanna adjourn this meeting right now.
Well, see, that's the thing, so the way that your bylaws read is that the only way it can be amended, you can amend it at a regular meeting, right? So when you come back in July, you can definitely make that amendment. However, you have to make sure that notice of the proposed amendments is also given. So you have to give notice of that proposed amendment in the notice of such regular meeting. So for us to have voted on it today, we should have given notice of the proposed amendment when we gave notice of today's meeting. So it is clear that the board, I heard 3, it's clear that you all want to submit this proposal
Yes.
to be noticed to the public, so that it can come before the board during the next regular meeting. Unless they have a special meeting, they can also do it at a special meeting as well. We choose to have them first.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Day?
5B. Consideration of motion to approve a 5% raise for the employees of the waterworks and school board of the city of Prichard. The motion for the cost of living increase.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and properly second that we approve a 5% added to the cost of living for personnel, employees of Prichard Water. Gary, roll call.
Director Johnson,
In regards to the 5% pay raise for the employees of the waterworks and sewer board of the city of Prichard, who are the bloodline of this utility, I vote yes.
Director Lowe,
Due to the finance, that's being sent out, and as I look at it, I think we can vote for it. All we need is for our cutback in what we spend on and how we manage our funds. I vote yes.
Director Hyberg,
No.
Director Moore,
Next item.
item 5C,
So
consideration.
they voted yes for the 5% raise, and they voted no.
Treatment plant operator 2, through the Mobile County Personnel Board, starting at step J.
So moved.
Prichard Water. Them y'all two no players.
Moved and properly second to accept item 5C as read. Is there any questions?
Yes, sir. Mr. McClintock, what is, step J?
Around 25 an hour.
Excuse me?
Around 25 an hour.
Okay. And what type of experience does Mr. Olin Knox have?
He knows the grade 4 state certification, which is the highest you can have in Alabama. License is used all in Alabama. High demand for it, so I'm just trying to keep them good.
Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Director Johnson,
Yes.
Director Lowe,
Yes.
Director Hyberg,
Yes.
Director Moore,
Yes.
item 5D, consideration of a motion to open one promotional office assistant position to the Mobile County Personnel Board.
Proper second, and we accept item
Yeah, they denied the
5D.
5%. Those two are the reason why.
Director Johnson,
Yes.
Director
How you
Lowe,
doing, Attorney Vernon?
Director Hyberg,
Yes.
Director Moore.
Yes.
Item 6, status reports, Mr. Michael McClintock, Board of Supervisors.
I don't have a whole lot, but to let y'all know, we have emergency sewer break on Branch Street. I had to get a contractor in to repair that. Repaired. Viger tank repairs have been done, it's back on the line. We got it back. I had several issues with our pump station, trying to keep the pumps and stuff going, and my parts on stuff. They're just old, we need money to rehab them all. And I had a storm smell earlier. I had to pull 3 of the trucks off the surplus list. A few repaired, put employees in. Had to step back and use them. Hire more people and don't have enough vehicles.
Can you update us on the status of, bringing this building up to, ADA compliance with the American Disabilities Act?
Yeah, this, someone sent me a list and we're working on it, so we gotta get them out here to go over everything.
When do you think that could happen?
Hopefully we'll have them this month, right here, before the next meeting.
Thank you.
Those two.
J. Ross, Adams, and Reeves.
Well, I'm clearly not Jay Ross, but I'm more than happy to provide an update to the board. So just a couple of quick things. Of course, you all have your bylaws, and we want to make sure that we are operating within the confinements of our bylaws. Of course, you can amend as the board sees fit. Also, because it is very important that we are operating within the parliamentary procedures as well. I included in the packet a quick reference on the Robert Rules of Order. However, my quick reference only deals with the handling of basic motions. However, hearing tonight, I'll make sure that I go and I'll get some information as it pertains to rescinding, amending, and reconsidering motions, because all three of those things are handled very differently. And we want to make sure that we're handling those things correctly for the record, as well as so that we're conducting business effectively. So at least you can refer to that in the packet. Also, we're working on the opens records request that was provided by Fox 10. There were 3 of those requests. We can easily comply with the first 2. Of course, we have to redact any PII. So we'll make sure that that's done. The request number 3 is a little bit more difficult, but not that we can't do it. It will require some more time because it will require us to do a little bit more digging. Of course, there is information out there on the ADAM report. However, it's not going to be as accurate. We don't want him relying on that. So I will know more from our paralegal team on Thursday as to how long it may take for us to be able to comply with that request. I will get back with you all on that. Also, I've been in communication with FBI, and I was able to get those cassette tapes. They were actually cassette tapes of our meeting from December of 2021. I had one of our paralegals to bring that over as well, so you all should have that. So we'll make sure that gets in hand before our meeting today. Now, it'll be up to the board if you all decided to transcribe it, because of course it is just audio, but we now do have that. I've also been in communication with FBI about producing our, I asked about the inventory log and the specific things that were seized. And I said we need our handbook and our other governing documents. He did advise us we'll be looking into that as well to see if they can get that back to us. As soon as I hear more about that, I'll be sure to report that to the board as well. As Mr. McClintock mentioned, I have been in communication with him. I talked to a lot of my contacts in the ADA world, and we were able to find someone in the governor's office that can conduct an accessibility review at no cost. It's just a scheduling issue at this point, so as soon as Mr. McClintock can get with him, the children can schedule that accordingly. Also, let's see. Last but not least, want to introduce our intern who has joined us for a couple of weeks over the summer, and that's Miss August Yates. She is a rising senior. She's in high school, so this is her opportunity to kind of see what it looks like to be in a board meeting and what representation looks like from a board attorney perspective. So we're excited to have her on board for a couple of weeks this summer, and that concludes my report. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Item 7, monthly financial report. A, consideration of a motion to accept May 2022 monthly financial report as submitted.
Is that allegedly, Mr. Porter, or you know for sure? I haven't heard about that.
Yes, I have a question. How can we have a consideration of a motion to accept May 2022 monthly financial report when we haven't accepted March or April's 2022 financial report?
Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Director Johnson,
Due to the fact that we have not had proper representation from the Financial Services Department here at Prichard Water Works and Sewer Board, and we have not accepted or passed any prior months before May of 2022, between March and May of 2022 of the monthly financial report, I vote no.
Director Knowles,
Due to the fact that stated earlier, something just come to my phone, I'm not gonna, vote to accept this March, April, May, because it's been 6 months since we actually had, anybody from that department come in here and tell us anything. We just been sending things to the phone. I vote no.
Director Heidemeyer,
Yes.
Director Moore,
Yes.
She just, hey, bro, it's constant. You know that?
item 8, old unfinished business, there is none. Item 9, new business. A, consideration of a motion to accept and approve the consent order from ADM and authorize the chairperson to sign.
So moved. Second, we accept item 9A, consider AM consent order. Roll call, please.
Director Johnson,
Due to the fact of the apparent negligence by those who are in charge, leadership, and improper management, and the improper reporting that caused this consent order from ADM, I vote no.
Man, just say no.
Director Gold,
Due to the fact that the incompetent and certain people that on the board receive information and I do not, I'm speaking for myself, I vote no.
Director Heidemeyer,
Yes.
Director
There you
Moore,
go.
Yes.
She gonna vote however Heidenberg
item
vote.
10B,
It should be
I'm sorry,
okay.
item 10.
It needs to be recorded. Motion is not passed.
So I know that that failed, but at least I just want to bring back to the board's attention the time frame in which we would need to respond. I believe it's 10 days. I know I'm filling in for Attorney Boss, and dealing with that court is recommending that we also do this, but at least I want to make sure we put it out to the board. It's 10 days.
Can't hear you.
We have 10 days to respond back, and so I was just advising the board of our time period that we have to respond.
Item 9A.
9A.
How long do you have?
We got a long way to get done.
It's on page
They
2 of
just
2
like us.
in your packet. If we do not have a response from you within 10 days of receipt of this letter, or if you do not receive 2 copies of the signed revised proposed consent order from you within this time frame, the department may pursue another enforcement alternative, which may include additional civil penalties.
It'll be another 20
So
minutes before they
it's
get
10
done.
days from receipt.
I think so, I don't know.
But you supposed
Yeah, when they
to
make fun of records.
Yeah.
Let me bag it up. When this first came out, we tried to call a special meeting and was denied. So that's another reason why I am not voting. Nothing but no.
And when we tried to go into executive session to discuss this, we were denied by leadership. Chairman, vice president, and secretary treasurer. I think according to the bylaws, that they would be considered leadership here at Prichard Waterworks and Sewer Board. We were denied twice when we tried to go into executive session.
Yes, we go back.
To
and
discuss
check the
this.
minutes, you will see where they sit right here. We actually go into executive session, all 3 of them just said no, no, no. And that was in it. Didn't even know what it was about. Didn't ask what it was about. Just politely voted no.
Okay, today's the next time.
Item 9B, consideration of the motion to change the closing for the Juneteenth holiday from Friday, June 17th, 2022 to Monday, June 20th, 2022.
So moved. Moved proper second to accept item 9B as printed. Is there any questions?
Yes, why is the change from Friday to Monday?
I believe Ms. Director Bunch wanted to coincide with the city of Prichard. They changed it from their holiday from the 17th to the 20th. And the state office is open. That Monday.
I understand that, but we are in the business of making money. And we are constantly being told that we don't have any money. And on a Monday,
It's a state
from what
holiday.
I've noticed from my emails that I have received, that is a day that we receive a lot of our revenue. And so we have to keep in mind, I understand what Director Bunch is doing, but City Hall is not in the business of collecting revenue on a daily basis, nor a lot of the state offices. And so therefore, it would hurt us to be closed on Monday, January the 20th. Not January the 25th, excuse me, but June 20th, just to coincide with those type of entities that we have nothing in common with.
We wouldn't be able to collect on the accounts on the 20th if the banks are closed. That doesn't give our customers the opportunity they had to go and either receive their bill by mail because the post office is closed on Monday, or they had to go and get their funds to pay their bill on Monday if the banks and stuff are closed. So we wouldn't be able to collect on the.
Well, Mr. McClintock, that is something, that we can consider with management, whether backing up headed to this holiday that we're gonna be, that the banks and that kind of thing would be closed so that we wouldn't have any delinquencies during that time. So no customers would be caught in that situation, just as we do for major holidays. But still, we are in business to collect revenue. City Hall is not, the library is not, and other state offices are not. And so therefore, it doesn't make good management sense for us to be closed on a Monday, because there's more than delinquent accounts that come in to this office. We have delinquent accounts, you're absolutely correct. But we also have regular bill paying customers.
It's the same thing on Friday as well. We have more customers come on
But
Fridays,
from what I have seen on a Monday, the collections are more. And the customers are more apt to come in on a Monday to pay their bill.
Man, ain't nothing going on. That's just
Holidays on a Monday, and that's a federal holiday. People will come on Tuesday.
exactly.
Will be their Monday.
This man ain't making no sense.
But I'm asking because we are in litigation right now because of a decision that was made and a suggestion by Dr.
30 more minutes,
Bunch during a major
And I'm
holiday
finna have to go.
that we be closed to coincide with Prichard Housing Authority and other offices, City Hall, when we needed to be open because we are in the business of collecting revenue is what I am saying. I'm not knocking the Juneteenth holidays, but on Monday, it would be good for Prichard Water
Mr.
Works and
Johnson.
Sewer Board to
Mr. Johnson,
remain
you
open
really sound kind of crazy on this one.
so that we can
'Cause you ain't
collect
making no
the
sense.
much needed revenue, so that we can do the things that need to be done, that are necessary to be done in order to keep Prichard Water away from additional consent orders from ADM and lawsuits from customers. That ends my statement.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question. I see you talking about being closed. Right now, we have a problem when we closed up on a holiday, the person thought it was gonna be open. And they cut that person off. And then when they came back on the holiday. So I think, to my opinion, we have already did a calendar day when the holidays is there. It need to stay. Every time somebody wanna change it, it should not be changed because we do the holidays by the year. They have already adopted days that we was gonna be open, already adopted days that we was gonna be closed, and it needs to remain the same because one person might want to do it or whatever. But if we
They
supposed to
sound
be open,
retarded, right?
those doors need to be open. That's when the customer thinking that we are gonna be open. It don't need to be changed.
Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Director Johnson,
No.
Director Dawes,
No.
Director Heidelberg,
Yes.
Director Moore.
Yes.
Item 9C,
Motion didn't pay. I see.
consideration of a motion to reject the test well bid due to the amount being too high, based on the recommendation of Mr. Heidelberg, Prichard, Water and Sewer Operations Manager.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and properly second, that we accept item 9C as read. Is there any questions?
Who did the bid come from?
We only had one, we only had one turn in. When the ground and well go. Hoping to redo it and, get some more out.
Any other questions?
And this is to reject, correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Director Johnson,
Yes.
Director Dawes,
Yes.
Director Heidelberg,
Yes.
Director Moore.
Yes.
Item 9D, consideration of a motion to approve Mr. Michael Prichard, Water and Sewer Operations Manager, to advertise bids for the Mills project.
So moved.
Second. Moved and properly second, that we accept item 9D as read. Is there any questions?
Yes, I have a question. Where, what is the location for these bids for the well project?
That nigga might need to be test. He got so many damn questions.
Maybe this time we can reach out for it.
Okay, I'm sorry, I was meaning the location where the wells are.
Oh, it's like, it's Wesley Street.
Any other questions?
That nigga got a question for everything.
Director Johnson,
Call him direct to
Due
test.
to the fact that this site has been deemed contaminated, and the aquifers are 50 yards from this contaminated water source at the Wesley location, I vote no.
Director
My
Dawes,
wife's dog will vote
Due to the
just like him.
contaminated area,
I told you.
according to what we have been told, I wish that we could find some other place other than Wesley Street. I vote no.
Director Heidelberg,
Yes.
Director Moore.
Yes.
Item 9E,
Did not pass.
consideration of a motion to accept and approve change order number 1 Hazen and Sawyer, and payment application number 3 from Gulf Coast Underground for the Rain Tree Field project.
So moved. Moved and properly second, that we accept item 9E as printed. Is there any questions?
Yes, could you explain briefly
Direct the
the
question,
process,
yeah.
Mr. McClintock?
Yes, that was from the sewer repairs that was done up there last year. And that was just, paving and the apron on the road so it can drain properly. So it's been completely done. Had the city inspector, the superintendent of the street department. He checked it out and everything, they're okay with it, so I think it's good. It'll be
Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Director Johnson,
Yes.
Director Lowe,
Yes.
Director Hyber,
Yes.
Director Moore.
Yes.
Item 9F. Consideration of a motion to participate in sponsorship of Juneteenth celebration with the city of Prichard, donation amount to be determined.
So moved.
Mr. Moved and properly second, we accept item 9F as printed. Is there any questions?
Yeah, there's gonna be the donation amount.
Have we participated with Prichard in the past with this? Is this something that we done?
It's emailed to you and copied to myself, here at Prichard Waterworks, sewer board. So I would think that you would be more familiar with it, Chair.
Well, questions?
Oh, boy.
We yield to Mr. TJ Petway to elaborate on this as we have a rep from the city here.
What's that? I'm sorry, I missed it.
We on the motion about the sponsorship of the Juneteenth celebration.
It is a Crabler.
Okay, we are discussing this item. Once we discuss the item, we'll discuss.
I have a question. Will you receive anything about this? No one emailed you anything about this, right?
I didn't get any of that.
No email was sent to you, Chair.
I don't know if you want to send, I did not receive.
Well, sent, received, so you saying it might have came to your phone, you just didn't look
I
at it?
didn't say that, I said I did not receive an email of mine.
So who did? Cause it's on the agenda.
Do you have any other questions?
I could have sworn I just asked them. No, excuse me, attorney, did I just ask the question? Who received the email or the text message that was sent about this? Ain't this a question? The last time I was sitting in class, that was a question.
I answered it 3 times.
No, my question was way different from what Director Johnson asked. I said, shoot. Cause it ain't just jumped up on the agenda by itself.
It was sent
We
out
gotta
on
ask him.
on May 9th from TJ Petway.
Okay.
Addressed to Director Russell Halliburton.
You know anything about this, man?
This is one of the items Director Johnson taken off.
But it also has Director Howard.
It was sent to Director Halliburton.
Yeah, attorney, could you help me out with this? Could I make a motion that Mr. Petway, what he sent to the board, that that was not given to all 5 board members?
So to go back to that quick reference that I said, because there is already a motion on the floor. There's a second, right now you all are in discussion, so you need to conclude your discussion here. Now, if we're adding things to the agenda, keep in mind at the very beginning of your meeting, you do move to approve the agenda items already listed. But unless your fellow board members want to give you that kind of allowance. But right now, you all have to decide, this is discussion, and then you'll have to call for the question or so.
Could I ask for a consent to?
Ma'am,
Could I ask for a consent that TJ Petway explain what he sent over to the water company to our chairperson that was not sent to all 5 board members? I would like to know what it's about, because as we voted, when we first came back in from COVID, that whatever be sent to the chairperson or whoever, it goes out to all 5 board members.
Director, Mr. Chairperson.
No, he's here now. That's why I want him to, represent what he sent that was not sent out to all 5 board members.
I give consent for Mr. TJ Petway to speak. Second.
Well, we can't do a second for that because you all already have a motion on the floor.
So with this motion, are we gonna determine a donation amount, Chair? That's what I'm asking, what I asked is for.
I'll go along with consent.
How long have you all been here?
Pretty much just gonna defer to the board decision. It was a standard sponsorship letter from the Mayor Gardner in reference to Juneteenth.
What is what? I don't understand. What are we doing? What are we sponsoring for? What activities, what amount of money?
I prefer that to have that discussion with the fellow board members that receive the information, just instead of having an audience
Well,
here.
nobody's saying they received it, so then you can tell us that it was on the letter that was sent. Cause nobody wanna own up to that they received that, because it said to chairperson, he said he didn't receive anything.
We just defer to the board decision, however you guys vote up or down.
Is there a set monetary amount, Mr. Petway?
There's no set. There's no set.
Oh, there's no set. All right, well, can we decide?
45, me and you might as well do a monetary donation to the city preacher for Juneteenth. Cause the water board now show like.
What activities are they having?
It's Juneteenth celebration.
What kind of refreshments? What is it for?
It's a
What would it be
citywide
for, Mr.
celebration.
Petway?
It's just for the activities in general.
You wanna know what activities are for?
How do we know how much money we have?
I got $25.
That goes back to the chairperson not delaying what he should delay to all 5 board members, because we could have already set up our own, what to donate, and what not to donate, and what they're doing. Like, I'm pretty sure this was something that they give us a donation without giving us specific level. So that's why I always say, if you wanna send something to Prichard Ward and Sue's Ward, please send it to all 5 board members, so that way the other ones that's being helped out know what's going on.
Yeah.
Because right now nobody wanna admit that they received that email. So for future notice, make sure you, send it to all 5 board members. That way somebody up here will tell the truth and, we'll know exactly what we are asked to do.
We have a motion on the floor. Yep. There were questions.
Thank you, Ms. Jennings. I'm gonna ask Ms. Teresa Lewis, what amount do you see being able to be donated at this time?
Not up to me, I can't determine that amount.
Fiscal services, man.
I understand that.
Chair, he's gone, right?
He's in charge of black.
What do you think, Ms. Prichard, being our fiscal service person, proper amount? Looking at our finances, what would you think a proper amount if we had to donate anything, any amount?
And Mr. Chairman, why are you looking over at Ms. Lewis, giving her an intimidating nod of the head? This is not the first time that he has been seen doing that.
That man says there any more questions.
I'm not asking you to.
He don't be giving a red ass.
In general, what you think of somebody came in and asked for a donation towards.
Y'all need to go to y'all council person, Ms. Osita Elvis, and tell her that she needs to pick somebody else for the water board instead of Heidelberg. Cause he don't care nothing about it.
I'm just asking your opinion.
My opinion. Nothing at this time.
Thank you.
Roll call, please. If it passed, the donation amount to be determined.
Director Johnson,
Yes.
Director Dawes,
Yes.
Director Heidelberg,
No.
also, Director Moore,
Oh, but they don't have no money.
item,
We approved to give a donation, now we need to.
I mean, they passed, but they don't have
That's
to
where
do
we need to determine the amount for the donation.
Not asking for us to sponsor the thing, we just asking for,
A donation. I'm gonna say $500. Any other suggestions?
that's that next.
They might put that down. That might be too late.
$500.
For each donation amount.
I'm looking that we donate 500, not 7.
did you get this motion, you said the donation amount to be $500,000. Then you go second motion.
It's been moved and properly second that the donation amount on, item 9F, $500. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Director Johnson,
Yes.
Director Dawes,
Yes.
Director Heidelberg,
No.
Director Moore,
Yes.
item 10, consideration of a motion to make the contents of the reading file and Madam Record.
Second. It's been moved and properly second that we make the contents of the reading file as record. Roll call, please.
Director Johnson,
Yes.
Director Dawes,
Yes.
Director Heidelberg,
Yes.
Director Moore.
Yes.
Item 11, customer concerns, 3-minute limit.
it's up there, be red tag, sent out, find out what the problem is, before the people get a bill. For months, this is supposed to be, what's supposed to be going on, but every month I notice that we have a correction. These folks, that the customer has received outrageous bills, and then they come on here to be corrected. Why we can't catch it and red tag it before it goes out? But that's what's supposed to be happening, but for some reason, it's not being done. And I can't understand why it can't be done.
But in our package, they gave copies of, the different customers that are affected, and
Okay.
some of them had it used.
But this is what I'm saying. It's supposed to be caught before the people receive the bills. Okay.
Mr. Mc,
They have not received the bill, but because of the amount, it has to be corrected, so I can send them a corrected bill. Ms. Charter had a leak that was done at the service line with her backflow was installed by the contractor, because that water went through her meter. It has to go through the system to show that this much water went through her meter, and we owe her a correction because of the leak that happened. I have to bill her for the usage.
But I
It has to
see,
be
I
corrected,
see
but
on
she
one
has-
of them that we went in there, we fixed the problem that was not on the city, not on the utility property, it was on her property. That we
She
fixed.
said that's just the way she
Contractor broke
speaks.
her service line when he installed the backflow.
So, are we being back from the contractor, are he gonna reimburse us that money? Or we just fixing it and just letting it go? Because it was not something that was did by an employee and did by a contractor, it was like the contractor should put that bill and not the utility company.
Mr. McClintock, can you help us to answer that question?
As of there, that's how it's been, you know. It's falling back on us.
Excuse me.
It's been falling back on us.
So the contractor has been allowed to come in, cause damage, and still be paid their contracted price without that being discounted back to the utility.
And that's the way it's been,
Since you've been here.
right.
Okay, because I goes back to where the contractor busted a line on a customer's yard. And we voted to go back and charge the contractor that amount of money that should have came back to the water company. So that means, as again, we vote, it don't fall through, they do what they wanna do and how they wanna do it. That's not right. I don't think the customers should be putting out money when it's a contractor that they came in here and caused that. The contractor should be billed whatever problem they mess up. That shouldn't fall on the utility company, which the customer pays that money. That's something we should bill the contractor for. Because they supposed to know how to go in there and not tear up anything and expect the utility company to fix it.
So that's mismanagement. That's what I go back to, when I was giving my report. That, leadership is constantly, mismanaging money, wasting money, but it falls back on the customer to pay financially, and then the employees to endure, because they can't get raises. Because leadership has decided to act negligently and misappropriate and mismanage the funds here at the utility. So,
You, Mr. Today, try to figure out a way to catch that, but I agree with you. About contract. They should, just figure out a way to catch it. Moving forward.
I think what's happening A lot of these customers have old plumbing. When a contractor comes along and does their work, leaves maybe a month. Then they say, they have a leak due to the contractor. So whose responsibility really is it?
Well,
That's where it's falling at, right?
It's up to the contractor. They, are skilled in the area that they say that they are, and they know how to check out those kind of things and ensure that doesn't happen, especially as frequently as it has been happening here.
I think that's
Prichard
what
Water.
happened. That's what's happening.
Yeah, because, for example, in the community that I live in, they let the people know that something about the little hole going into the meter, why they couldn't get them in the week. So one of the guys said, well, you want me to tear it up, and then the city got to come behind and fix it. Okay, so what we need to let the contractor know is, you tear it up, you fix it.
They have been. I mean, they've been real good at it.
Well, they've been real good at it, but every month we got what some damage have been did, and
And it should
we the one paying for it.
right, it should be discounted against their price, their contracted price, if that happens. So we are in agreement for a change that this needs to be looked into immediately. Thank you.
That mishap happened, but this is not a mishap. This is something that's constant.
Any more questions? Roll call, please.
Director Johnson,
Yes.
Director Dole,
Is based on, we must go back and charge these contractors for the damage.
We
that
don't
they're
give a
doing
damn why.
to these meters.
Just yes, and go the hell on.
We are buying these meters out of our funds, and whatever they do to mess up, they need to pay them.
Director Heisenberg,
Yes.
Director Orr.
Yes.
Item 11B, severe remarks, customer concern.
And now we hear from ex-councilwoman Big Ed Mars.
Yes, I'd like to say good evening to, the board, to the attorney staff, and to all the citizens of Prichard and everyone that's in attendance. One of my concerns, and I don't wanna blow my 3 minutes, but I have a question. One of my concerns is about this, consent decree, and I think none of us in here really know what a consent decree is when the, Prichard Water and Sewer Board is under a consent decree. Now, I don't hear the news media asking questions. I don't hear anything about this consent decree and what position that it puts the Prichard Water and Sewer Board in. I don't hear the board. I haven't heard the board explain it to us. Again, I picked it up through the news, several phone calls. I think I asked you, operational manager, 2 months ago in regards to the SSOs. How many do we have? Have they been reported? We know for a fact that they have not been reported. That's one reason we are under this consent decree. We also know for a fact that we have someone on board out of Kentucky. What is that company name?
Strand and Associates.
What is it?
Strand and Associates.
Strands and Associates that is already on board, and it appears that that's the responsibility of the reports getting there along with the operation manager. And at this time, we have no idea in regards to what position we're in by being under a consent decree. I still haven't gotten the information in regards to the SSOs. We know that's raw sewage coming running down the street of the city of Prichard, and we know that we have many of them, especially when it rains. And so now we're sitting under a consent decree, and I have not heard Mr. President or Ms. Vice President say anything about it in regards to the citizens and the type of effect that it will have and on us. And I think that is negligence. I'm a citizen. I pay the price cost to be bought. I think that is negligence on your part for us as citizens, not knowing what is going on and what responsibilities that you have as a information, next to the, attorneys. We still have not gotten that information. I wanna know it, but I don't wanna use my 3 minutes for you to tell it. But we need to know as citizens what kind of effect that it has on us and the operation of, this unit. And also the, finance meeting that I understand that was voted down, I believe. Because when a vote is made, it should be announced for the record whether it passed or failed. That should be in the Robert Rules of Order. Excuse me.
And the bylaw.
And the bylaws, yes, so that's not going on, that should happen. But, what is going on with that? It's a shame that we come here, and I'm gonna have a seat, and you give the finance report to the board, but as citizens, we don't have a clue what's going on. And then you ask for a vote, whether it's approved or not approved of, and we don't have any information. And then you have the audacity to sit up here and vote it down, not to give the citizens this information. So you're not, and I'm saying in my opinion, and I do have a right to have an opinion, in my opinion, it is neglect. Thank you.
Item 11C, Mr. Cody Brown, customer concern.
Excuse me, I can't come up the steps, so much stay right here. Yes, I'm Cozy Brown, I'm the proprietor of Cozy Brown's Kitchen. Have been for 10 years. And I'm in the process of moving to another location, which is still in Prichard. And I need to be connected with the sewers. And I was told when I was here before that the sewers is on both ends of my building, but not where I am. But I still haven't gotten an answer on what's gonna happen with that. Because when I bought the building, I'm assuming that it's on the sewers and it's on the septic tank. And it's gonna be a little difficult for me to really operate a business at the magnitude that I'm intending on the septic tank. And my concern is, and I did get some information that it would cost me $42,000 for me to do the sewer myself, which I know I have to pay to be tied into the sewer. But I didn't know I would have to, invent it. I would have to pay for it to be installed. And so my concern is, what are we gonna do about it? Or what can be done? And this has been quite a few months back, and I said that I wasn't gonna come here again, but it's very important to me. And I need to know what want to be done and about when. I'm a citizen and I need to know that.
I've got a question that, Brown, is to me, and find out, go over again exactly what needs to be done.
And who's gonna do it?
I explained it to him, there's no sewer out there, the closest sewer is about 800 foot away. So the sewer main is gonna have to be extended down there, brought to his business. And in order to do this, it's gonna take a contractor to do it. And that's with the $42,000 staying in place. The contractor will have to run down there. So it's up to the board, if y'all wanna pay that.
$42,000 for a doodle line.
Responsibility to bring it down there, because it's not, it's just up in the air on that. So whatever y'all want to do on it.
There's a whole lot of
I bring
shit.
it down, it belong to me then, right?
I was out on the state right away.
So why would I have to pay for the state right away then if it's not gonna be mine?
Yeah.
It's up to the board if they want to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, this is, this don't sound right to me.
That sound right to me, Mr. Brown.
Yeah.
42,000 is a good
And then after that, I gotta pay to get tired what I done already bought.
ball. Exactly.
That's my opinion.
Yes, you're absolutely correct. You will be paying to own it. And
That's right.
I'm gonna let Mr. Heidelberg finish up with his question, because I don't know if he and I are on the same page, but Mr. McClintock, I strongly want you to speak with Mr. Brown and find out what it would cost Prichard Waterworks and Sewer Board, and get back with the board. Do you have that amount with you now?
That's the old code, and it's a few months old, and only not good anymore. It was around 42,000 for us to get it down.
Well, the point is not for
For it
me.
to be dropped down.
The point is not for me to know how much it is. I already know that. That's what you told me. But the point is now, I need an answer on who's gonna do it
Yes.
and how we gonna get it done.
Right.
So what is that answer, Mr. McClintock?
I brought it to y'all a few months back, about 4 months back. Make a decision on what we needed to do. I'll just put it down. I'm not mistaken.
That was back in, I want to say December that we, Mr. Brown initially came and he's ready to go into his business.
He came after that, I looked at it, got the quotes and all that, and he came back January, February, or somewhere around that time.
Okay, but okay, we got all of that. The question that Mr. Brown is standing here having today is, when is it gonna be done and who's gonna be responsible for doing it?
Right, but that's, like I said, that's the board decision, that's $42,000 wrong.
What was your suggestion, Jim?
I don't know.
I would suggest we follow, we just gonna follow our policy, we cannot give away money. Everybody else that has this situation, we've done it a lot. Connect the sewer, ran it down the street, ran it across, field, and the customer paid.
On their property.
That's all.
Yeah, on their property.
And we don't have in our financial budget or our plan to run sewer down that street at the present time. That's not part of our plan.
Well, I make the motion that we, Prichard Waterworks and Sewer Board, run the sewage, and that Mr. Brown pays to tie into the sewage, just like every other customer that has been hooked to sewer services in the past. Because just like Mr. Brown said, if he runs it down there, he supplies the sewer lines, then he owns it. And he should own it because he's paid for it. So my motion is,
Operation Manager. I wanna make sure that.
Yeah, I'm finna go.
If we run the suit and he pays.
I'm about to run out of battery. I'll let him bring the extra charger.
Business that's not there, that's not on sewage, that can come and pay us to connect, and that way we would get our funding back.
I don't think in that stretch right there, there's many businesses.
Well, I think, it's a church there. A man just got, his liquor license from the city. He's there. Right across, if they ever get anybody in that, I know somebody's been coming to that, where that used to be a car lot. If someone is cleaning that up to move in, so I'm thinking, you said 42,000, or we can get 3 or 4 of those new business that's coming there, pay to hook to the sewage, and, Mr. Brown is gonna pay the hook to the, we run the sewage, line will belong to the city. So we really is putting an opportunity out there for other business on the left and the right side to make funds from this.
Because it's gonna make it more, appropriate. It's gonna be more advertising for someone to come in, for choice of better words, to that area, knowing that they already have sewer access. So my motion is, exactly, my motion is that Prichard Waterworks and Sewer Board run the sewer lines down to Mr. Brown's address, and that Mr. Brown pays to connect to the sewer lines that belong to Prichard Water Works and Sewer Board. The cost to connect to those lines that will have been installed by Prichard Water Works and Sewer Board. Approximately, Ms. Lewis, you deal with this.
I have to see where the location is. Is it different costs for different sewer projects?
It's certainly going to be a lot less than $42,000.
That's correct.
All right. So second the motion, let's get a vote. Let's move on. Get a
Do I need to
vote.
repeat the motion?
$43.95.
I'm trying to put the location in motion. The address.
Say, speed it up.
Okay, the motion is to run sewer lines to, 4395 St. Stephen's Road location. And Mr. Brown to pay to connect to the sewer.
Yes.
Second.
Before we move on, attorney, my legal position, we are now making a motion to do something that is violating our covenant, our bond.
We're not violating any covenant, Chairman.
Giving away money.
We're not giving away money.
Yeah, I don't think there's no better than you to
We got action again.
What's the difference? Under the table.
I would love to be able to give a legal opinion, but I hate to say it, I have not seen the policies to be able to advise accordingly, to even advise if it's against the policy or not. But if
Look
someone
up the
is
case,
not-
St. Clair County Home Builders versus the City of Pell City, and it talks about impact fees and the connection costs. You're
We're
an
talking
attorney.
about our board's policies.
I'm talking about the
rules.
legal case, you're a lawyer, you represent the board, and I'm telling you the case to look at that's already addressed the issue. And it's St. Clair County Home Builders versus City of Pell
I
City.
don't have the phone call.
Yes,
Please don't interrupt.
sometimes you get tired of incompetence, brother, it gets on your nerves.
We, I,
Do we have
I
any
know,
phone
do
policies?
we have
Do we have a
our
copy of our
policies on this, our policies on this thing?
You can't make an opinion on something you haven't seen.
No, Chairman, the FBI has all of our policies, remember?
Do we have that policy?
The FBI has all of our
We
policies,
got action again,
remember?
y'all. Make sure y'all bless that gas out. I mean, that cash out.
I'm confused. I thought as a board member, our duty was to bring in revenue to the city. And, putting sewage line, and that's what we are, Prichard Water and sewage boards for the city of Prichard. You know, we can put sewage out there for a customer that's been here some odd years.
Over 50.
And we can't give him sewage, maybe where he can be connected to the sewage. It's something wrong.
I would inquire about the bond policies from the FBI. I know we talked about.
Look that case up, lady.
You have to also look at the policies, but I'm addressing my client. So I'll make sure to inquire about that.
And other businesses don't connect to it.
and we can do it for other people. I'm pretty sure we can do it for
Mr.
a
Brown.
customer that's been here over 50-some years, serving the customers, bringing in the revenue. That's what we all about, revenue. Make sure that the water company, the city, get revenue.
Can I ask a question?
We do the other customers the same way.
We have a,
If they move to, if they wanna connect to the sewer, and it requires water board, go down area away from that sewer, we do it all the time. Okay, we haven't done it where we pay for a customer.
we just had a major sewer project on Rain Tree Road. And those customers did not pay nearly the amount that we're asking Mr. Brown to pay. And may I have consent for Ms. Finley?
We don't need any discussion from the audience. We need any discussion from the audience, ma'am, thank you.
They just gonna pay the bill. They just gonna keep the lights on. Why we can't include it? I remember our attorney said let the citizens talk what they wanna talk.
Can we vote on it? Can we vote on this?
Yes,
Because
you
I
can.
have not seen the policies, I'm not comfortable making any recommendation without laying eyes on it myself.
Okay, clerk, we'll.
Go ahead, Ms.
Okay, it's been moved and properly second that, follow Mr. Johnson's, motion, run the sewer down to the ground.
It's probably gonna be a 2-2 vote. We're gonna see.
There is.
Okay. You say you were going to research this to find out what our legal standing is, so we don't violate our covenant.
Right, and I'm sorry, I was only discussing with your operations manager, he had a copy of the bond policies, and he advised that he did not either, but what were you saying?
Mr. Brown submitted a letter that outlined the impact fee.
Yeah, we're gonna have a chat.
Exactly, a couple of months ago.
Other businesses will have the opportunity to take advantage of the line being run. I can't see him paying for the line to be run, but other businesses and a church will have the capability of using that sewer line.
Operation manager. Did I ask your opinion on, do you think that by the water company running the sewage line and allow customers to connect to it, would that be requisite for the water board?
I just need direction from y'all.
I ain't gonna put it, with what you know, yeah, would it be a good idea that the sewage line be ran in the street and Mr. Coulter Brown pay to connect to the sewage line? That would give us the right to still own the sewage line and give us the right to charge other customers that come in that area. Cause like I said, I go to the city council and I know 3 businesses that have been approved to go right there in that same area.
Absolutely.
That might wants to be connected to the city. So I'm thinking whatever the price is to connect, that 42 will have it back in no time. It ain't like it will linger on.
We have a motion,
But we discussing it,
we have a motion on the floor, it's been moved and properly seconded.
and we don't push it. He said the way he said, and the way I said may not be the way he said. I'm getting clarification for myself,
Can we just get a damn vote?
okay?
I'm
That's
tired
not
of sitting in here
operation manager.
on these hard chairs.
Would that be a good idea for the city, for the water company to run the sewer and charge the customers that connect to it?
Yes.
Amen.
That's all I ask.
Amen.
So, you got a problem with that?
Roll call.
Roll call, please.
Oh, Lord, everybody got a question.
Gotta go close the restaurant.
I can't hear.
Ms. Moore, Ms. Denata,
The businesses that could possibly connect to this, would we get $42,000 back from them?
yes, ma'am, and more,
Over a period of time.
yes, ma'am.
But right now, we don't know how much it's gonna cost us to hold the ground to connect to it, right?
But it's less than $42,000. Roll call,
I don't know.
roll call.
Instead of making money off something, he gonna pay.
Roll call.
Director Johnson,
I'm gonna ask Ms. Janae to read the motion.
motion to run sewer to 2295 St. Stephen's Road location and to the ground to pay to
And Mr. Brown does what, Ms. Janae?
pay to connect.
Only,
Seven.
only.
To connect only.
That's what he would pay. That's the only payment he would have after the sewage line has been ran to his address, giving him access. If you would read that again.
Motion to run sewer lines to 4395 St. Stephen's Road location and Mr. Brown pays to connect only.
Amen.
Director Johnson,
Yes.
Director Gold,
Yes.
Director Hyburn,
No.
Director Moore,
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion passed.
Yeah.
Yeah. By time.
Mr. Brown.
By time.
item 11,
Mr. Brown. Yes, sir.
Davis,
Yes, sir.
God bless. God bless.
Sleep, sleep good.
I have a question for our attorney on this right here. You made a statement about, talking about good name and character. Is there any way that we can stop a person from, according to what she put on, I don't know if you received it, what was sent to us? The reason why she come and get on the agenda is to talk about person on the book.
I don't know if I'm following Dr. Dole.
Okay.
I'm not sure if I'm following the question.
Okay, the question is, is there any way that we can stop a person that's coming to get on the agenda to stand up and talk bad about one of the board members? Cause that's what she put on there, she wanted to talk about a board member. And ain't that good name and character of a board member? When a person is right and come in and talk bad about one of the board members, I don't know who it would have been, but that's what she had on her,
Customer concern.
customer concern.
Correct. So I think when we were talking about earlier, you're using the analogy as to when you all were making comments about Mr. Chairperson. So I think the customer can have concerns as it pertains to the works and operations of the water board. But in terms of personal character attacks, that is what we were indicating that should be kept to a minimum or excluded.
Yeah.
But the actual
Are you
works
aware
and operations.
Are you aware of what her customer complaint was on the agenda? Was she filled out?
I do not. I was not provided with that information.
Okay.
Is that- I don't think she's even here, so it may
No,
not
she's
even-
not here, but I just wanna make it known that how could us as a board, stop this nonsense because, it's not fair to one of the board members, whoever she wanted to discuss about, or talk about.
Yeah,
Well,
On a good name,
good name and
on
character.
a good name and character.
Well, it's very clear, your request says to have addressed service and or billing issues.
Mhm.
And that's what I'm speaking of, when
Yeah.
we're talking about to keep your scope of concerns within what you all have here. If it doesn't concern a service or billing issue, or something as it deals with the operation of the board.
Do you have the one she filled
I'm
out?
looking at it, yes, ma'am.
Okay, let me,
So
You
would
want-
you say that that would be appropriate if she was here today for her to stand up and speak on Attorney Williams?
Well, based on these words in here, we were talking earlier that these are some language, some words we probably should stay away from, but if Ms. Davis wanted to address her bill or service issue, absolutely, that's outside the scope, then this
Okay.
is not the appropriate.
But what she has written there is not
That's
appropriate.
not, no, this appears to be something else.
okay.
I'm not
and-
reading
and
the
one
service
more thing,
Thank you.
if you look at, if it's the same one I have, if you look at the members that was on there right now, there is only 3 people that was on there at that time. The other people on there is no longer on this board, has not been on this board for 2 years. So that is an old, thing she has, evidently she has a lot of, she make copies or whatever, but it's gonna have the new members on there. So I feel like, it's inappropriate for her to come in with an old thing saying what she wanna talk about a minute.
Exactly.
Also, if you look at the bottom of your form, it talks about the Open Public Meetings Act. It does not require that citizens be allowed to even participate and speak at board meetings. So be mindful too of that particular rule as well. The act merely specifies that the public has the right to attend, but for participation, that's really up to you all.
Okay, thank you. And that's what I really wanted to say, because, certain people get on the agenda and they wanna blast certain
Y'all listening
board
to them
members who they think
trying to
should be
get
on
Katie
the board.
Davis shit
Or
down.
anything, but it's not about what they think. We went through the proper procedure,
Ms.
it's been
Davis.
appointed. We got the 3 votes to
Tune
be
in.
appointed. And that's what she do, she go from the city to here, passing out flyers, talking about board members. And I think as this board, we need to stop that. We need to adopt some type of way, if you're not coming on this board, talking about your water bill. Because our chairperson had it where the only time you could talk to the board, if you was a customer, not the water bill being in your husband's name, you had to be a customer. Okay, we had that. Why we not using that anymore? I have no idea. But I wish that we could let the customer know when they turn in something, they wanna blast somebody, that they're not allowed to do that. If it's something wrong with their board, yeah, come to the board. We want you to come to the board. But they sit up here and read letters about what you think, no one. All 5 of us was appointed. All 5 of
The
us had to
Bible
get 3
says when
votes
you
in order
marry,
to
you
sit.
is one.
Now,
So
you got a
I
problem
disagree.
with that, that's your problem. It should not be allowed to do it to anyone. All 5 of us, not single somebody out, it should not be did at all. And it needs to be stopped according to what's at the bottom of that paper. It says what they supposed to come in at. So what do we need to do with this,
You know what it is, it's in legal item.
attorneys to make sure that this don't happen again?
Once again, it's up to you all as it pertains to the participation of the customers. And you can stick with what your papers say, except update your board members as you indicated. But if you keep the document as it's written, it specifically indicates customer concerns, bill, water issues. And if you don't wanna address it because it's outside the scope of what you all deemed appropriate on that paper, you're entitled to do that.
Can we put this on the agenda for it to be voted on again? Again?
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily requires a vote, we were talking about the Open Meetings Act.
But for some reason, it gets on me. See, right now, she's supposed to be here, she's not here. And she states why she's coming. And I don't think she should have even been put on the agenda for what the statement that she made. What she felt out. And it's a all because Ian is no longer on this board and he is not there. So that's what she
The
felt
board
out.
attorney's wrong to the whole thing.
Yeah, the whole thing's wrong. But I just wanted to bring it to the board that something needs to be did about it and what can we do about it. But instead of saying at the bottom of there what's supposed to be done. But she always gets on there to do this and come stand here by me.
We all
And
about
read.
later. That ain't even today, y'all.
I've never witnessed that.
But you weren't on the board at that time, Ms. Moore. That's when I'm bringing it now because I noticed that's what she puts on there. But at the bottom of it, it clearly states that she shouldn't be put on the agenda for that.
Come on, Mr. Allenberg. Next item.
But I didn't call her name because we know who they got.
I don't forward the dog, you see that?
Should be a no-no.
Oh, also the water. Looks like you all need to update your forms and.
No, it's
Yeah,
updated.
they've been updated. That's
It's been
just,
updated. What she got that from, I don't know,
Why
I
they
know,
won't
but
just
it's
listen to
updated.
legal advice instead of trying to talk
even
over there?
shows Mr. Bill Swopes.
That's what I'm saying, it's been updated.
it's been updated.
Look
But
at
that's just
you'll see
a
it.
backdoor situation.
Yeah,
And that's what we deal with here, is backdoor deals and situations.
because the ones we have now has Ms. Moore's name on it.
Man, y'all look, I love y'all. Cause I'm supposed to be off of this junk here. Right now.
It's not updated because it still has Mr. Davis. I'm looking at other ones.
Yeah, what I'm saying, the ones I have seen.
They need to
some
just be
Ms. Moore's
quiet
name
for
on it.
real. Listen to the
So
legal
all the ones that
advice
got the
and
old
go
dates,
off what the attorney's telling them. That's why they be looking retarded. Don't know what's going
You
on.
don't let it
They
be.
won't listen.
yeah, they need to be moved. And definitely, it says no, that she shouldn't come on the agenda for that.
Well, she know what she just asked.
Item
What
11,
did it?
Mr. Bill Cobb, Mr. Tommy Eubanks, Mr. James Spears are representatives of Indian First Baptist Church for custom retirement. Their concern is for water line being moved and the cost, this should all be attached.
What was that, thing? What was their concern?
They request, about installing a new meter. The water line will have to be moved. In their custom concern payment, Mr. Carlos Butler got the, quotes of what it would cost to move, the service line, so I attached it to the customer's paper for everyone to see, but Mr. Butler on our side got the quotes of what it would cost. To have
Do
that
all
done.
five board members have that cost?
Ma'am.
Do all five board members have, how much it's gonna?
Yes, ma'am, it's in the packet, I feel with the packet. But we weren't sure, because it's in the rate, it says at cost. So we weren't sure,
So they have to pay, they have to move it.
that's what the rate said. That's like one. But I'll give them a call. So this is gonna be this individual that we're adding for 11 F, I didn't give her age.
She walked out. No, she walked outside. Yeah, she said her children were outside.
You want me to go
If
out
someone can go get her, cause she been there. Thank you.
She left. Oh, she left.
Okay, thank you.
Item 12, consideration of motion to adjourn to executive session. Purpose and length of time must be stated in motion.
We would thank y'all for being tuned in. I sure hope some of y'all bless that gas out, that cash out.
So move.
Second.
If not, though, we gonna tell the Lord. thank you anyway. And we're gonna, we just made a sweet communion of the Holy Ghost rest, we would abide henceforth forevermore. So, say amen.
Director Johnson,
Yes.
Director Noel,
Yes.
Director Iver, Director Moore.
And that's all, folks. We out of here.